The president of Burkina Faso will soon be killed. As of the 4th of April 2025, he has already survived about 18 assassination attempts, but they are not going to stop anytime soon until they get it done. So yes, he will soon be killed. I'm still calling on Africa and Africans, especially Burkina Faso citizens, to stand by Ibrahim Traoré at this point, so that the plan of these Westerners will not come to pass. Do not be used as an instrument by these Westerners to give Ibrahim Traoré a bad name. He's doing well. If he's not doing well, he will not be surviving all these attempts. Ask yourself a question. Why is it that the former president that was in power did not survive any assassination attempts from the West? So this US and some other Western countries, stay in your country, leave them alone. Leave Ibrahim Traoré alone. Leave Ibrahim Traoré alone. So people of Africa, please, at this point, stand by Ibrahim Traoré. And do not listen to this fake media from the West. Do not listen to this bad story that they want to paint of Ibrahim Traoré from the West. He is a giant of Africa and he's doing well. So far, so good. So please, especially his people in Burkina Faso, please stand by your president. It is important that you stand by him at this time.
We stand with Captain Traoré. We stand with Traoré because we know that Traoré stands for the unity of Africa. We are Traoré, and Traoré is all of us. If they kill Traoré, you must know they would have created another wound in the continent of Africa. We must defend him the same way we defend the unity of Africa.
Hey, this is how you know this is the greatest president they ever lived. They having a mega rally all over the world. Everybody is supporting Ibrahim Trio. You hear me? We gonna be live in Dallas City Hall on the 30th, man. I'm not playing with these people. Boy, I'm about to put on my red, my black, my green, and we about to take to the streets, and we gonna be the real ninjas that we supposed to be, and let them know that we support Africa. Cause guess what? Those are our brothers, our sisters, our family. Ain't no reason why we should be out here hating this and hating them and all this because they brainwash us to make us believe that they don't like us and we don't like them. Now, man, them people ain't got none but love for us. That's why I'm representing, and that's why I be at Dallas City Hall on the 30th. I'm talking about we about to have fun. We gonna turn it to a block party.
The recent attempt to kill Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, along with the bold accusations from U.S. General Michael Langley, claiming Traoré is mishandling the country's gold, has sparked anger and passion among Africans everywhere. From the busy streets of Lagos to the lively markets in Accra, from the neighborhoods in Johannesburg to the African communities in London, Paris, and New York, people are standing up and saying, enough is enough. The West keeps poking its nose into our business, trying to mess up our leadership, acting like they have the right to control Africa's future, but that has to stop now. On April 30th, 2025, Africans from all corners of the continent and all over the world will rise for a massive protest, a protest bigger than anything we've seen in a long time, to stand with Captain Traoré, to demand respect for Africa's freedom, and to shout loud and clear for the whole world to hear. Hurting Traoré means hurting all of Africa. That attack on Captain Traoré a few weeks ago wasn't just aimed at him. It was an attack on the dreams and hopes of the whole African continent. Captain Traoré, now 37 years old and leading Burkina Faso as interim president, has become a fresh symbol of hope for millions across Africa who are fed up with neo-colonial rule, tired of fake leaders, and exhausted from seeing their resources looted while poverty drags their people down. Reports say the plot, traced back to Ivory Coast with links to Western spy agencies, was crafted to throw Burkina Faso into chaos and shut down a bold voice challenging the global powers. But the people of Africa, strong and determined, were badly underestimated. When the news broke that the coup attempt had been stopped, social media blew up with an outpouring of love and support. On top of that, U.S. General Michael Langley, the man leading AFRICOM, boldly accused Traoré of hiding away the nation's gold to shield his government rather than using it to help ordinary people. These reckless accusations were voiced during a U.S. Senate meeting on April 3, 2025, and they didn't go unanswered. Leaders in Burkina Faso and South Africa's Economic Freedom Fighters, EEFF, slammed them immediately, calling out the old imperialist moves designed to tear down any leader who stands firm against Western dominance. Africans recognize the pattern clearly: lie about them, cause confusion, then take them down. From Patrice Lumumba's brutal assassination to the fall of Muammar Gaddafi, the West's long record of crushing African leaders who dared to put their people first remains clear as day. This time around, Africans are not staying silent. They are fighting back, not with violence, but with the unstoppable strength of unity. On April 30th, millions will pour into the streets for what many believe will be the biggest synchronized protest in Africa's modern history. From Nairobi's crowded neighborhoods to the lively squares of Dakar, from Addis Ababa's bustling streets to Harare's busy roads, and from African communities in the Americas, Europe, and Asia, people everywhere will march together, raising one voice to demand an end to Western interference and to show full support for Captain Traoré. This is way more than a protest. It's a movement, a celebration of how far Africa has come, and a bold statement that Africa will no longer allow itself to be used as a chess piece by global superpowers. The entire world will see what African unity looks like, and the energy from this day will leave a mark on history for generations to feel. To know why Traoré has inspired Africans to rally behind him with so much passion, you first have to know who he is. Born in 1988 in the town of Kera, Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré didn't come from a wealthy family or live a privileged life. He was a quiet, smart boy who studied geology at the University of Ouagadougou before joining the army in 2009, quickly building a name for himself as a brave and disciplined soldier. By 2020, Traoré had risen to the rank of captain, leading an artillery unit fighting jihadist groups. What pushed him to take a bigger stand was the frustration he felt seeing politicians enrich themselves while ordinary soldiers lacked even the most basic gear. At just 34 years old, in September 2022, Traoré led a coup against interim President Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, accusing him of failing to handle the rising insurgency and choosing personal gain over the nation's welfare. When Traoré came into power, he brought with him a clear purpose that has won admiration from Africans well beyond Burkina Faso. He walked away from the usual perks of leadership, turning down salary raises for officials and continuing to live on the small income of a captain. His daring reforms, taking back the gold mines, stopping the flow of raw gold to Europe, and setting up a national refinery that can refine close to 50 tons a year, have landed a major hit against neo-colonial greed. In addition, Traoré made serious investments in farming, created a center to support small-scale cotton workers, and helped oversee the building of a new airport in the capital, Ouagadougou. These are not empty promises. They are real progress toward true economic strength and independence. Still, it's not just the results that have captured the people's imagination. The passion in Traoré's speeches, strong, proud, and filled with the spirit of Pan-Africanism, speaks deeply to a generation hungry for change. At the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit, he didn't hold back, calling out African leaders for their begging ways and questioning why a continent so rich in resources has become the poorest. His words carried the same spirit of revolution once seen in Thomas Sankara, the heroic Burkinabè leader killed in 1987 for standing up to Western powers. Traoré, like Sankara, is young, full of courage, and ready to challenge the West without fear. He removed French forces from the country, blamed Paris for aiding terrorism, and reached out to Russia and Turkey to strengthen Burkina Faso's security forces. Today, Africans rally behind Traoré because he brings to life the dream of a free Africa. He's not the kind of leader who makes sweet promises and then disappears. Traoré is a man who has fought at the front lines, someone who understands the suffering of his people deeply, and who is ready to sacrifice everything so they can have a better tomorrow. By making his personal wealth known to the public, he draws a sharp line between himself and the corrupt leaders who have robbed Africa for so long. His simplicity, his refusal to bow down to foreign interests, and his vision for a strong, self-reliant Africa have turned him into a source of inspiration for millions. As one online user once said, Ibrahim Traoré has sparked a movement that can't be broken anymore. Even if Western powers try to remove him, thousands more leaders like Traoré will rise. The protests on April 30th are about much more than just protecting one man. They are a loud cry to defend Africa's true freedom. For generations, Africa has been treated like a playground by foreign powers seeking to serve their own needs. Countries like France, America, China, and others have drained its resources, kept dictators in power, and crushed any nation brave enough to resist. The recent attempt on Traoré's life, combined with General Langley's smear campaign, is just another page from that old script. Africans are tired of watching their real heroes fall. The spirit of Lumumba, Sankara, and Gaddafi still lives strong in their memories. Worries that Traoré could soon be targeted have stirred a wave of action across Africa. Many Africans are standing firm behind him because he signals a true shift away from the old colonial order that kept the continent under control. His leadership has sparked a strong renewal of Pan-African pride, pulling people together across tribes, languages, and nations. In Nigeria, young people are preparing mass marches, carrying banners that say, "Africa for Africans." Civil groups in Ghana are pushing for open support of Burkina Faso's struggle. Meanwhile, South Africa's economic freedom fighters, EEFF, have openly pledged loyalty to Traoré, warning that harming him would be a direct threat to Africa's hopes. Africans living outside the continent, who for years felt cut off from home, are now rallying too because of Traoré. A former user on social media in the US said it clearly: Black Americans are standing with Africa and will surely hit the streets if Traoré is touched. Supporting Traoré means fighting for Africa's right to choose its own leaders freely. For generations, outsiders have installed leaders who answered only to their foreign masters. But Traoré's bold steps, kicking French forces out, exiting ECOWAS, and teaming up with Mali and Niger to form the Alliance of Sahel States, have placed him squarely in their crosshairs. At the same time, it has made him a hero in the eyes of many. Africans feel motivated to protect him because they see a chance for a better future, one where African countries control their own wealth, make their own decisions, and walk their own path. While there are plenty of leaders across Africa, hardly any have captured the people's imagination the way Traoré has. To really grasp this, we need to look at how he measures up against others. A lot of African presidents, even the ones elected by the people, are often blamed for chasing riches and cozying up to foreign powers instead of helping their citizens, from Nigeria's Bola Tinubu, who is battling economic problems, to Kenya's William Ruto, facing a wave of anger over tax increases. Many are seen as out of step with ordinary people's struggles. Some others, like Senegal's former president Macky Sall, have faced accusations of holding on to power too long or favoring the West over their own people. In contrast, Traoré brings a breath of fresh air to African leadership. At only 37 years old, he is now the second youngest leader in the world, far younger than the typical African president, whose average age is around 63. Because of his youth and military background, Traoré feels much closer to the common people than many older politicians. His way of speaking, straightforward and real, connects with the frustrations of a generation tired of broken leadership and economic hardship. Through his actions, reclaiming control of mines, heavily investing in farming, and rejecting Western aid, Traoré has become a living example of the Pan-Africanist dreams that continue to inspire young Africans. What makes Traoré stand out is his honesty. While many leaders rush to Western countries to chase loans or plead for aid, Traoré speaks out against this habit, pushing Africans to build their own strength. His choice to partner with Russia and Turkey, though it sparked debate, is viewed as a smart move to widen alliances and cut down dependence on the West. Unlike leaders who only talk about Pan-Africanism, Traoré puts it into action, creating the Alliance of Sahel States to boost teamwork and shared security across the region. On top of that, the way he leads brings back memories of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's beloved revolutionary hero. Both leaders rose to power at 34 years old, both were captains, and both fought for bold changes to lift up their people. While Sankara's mission ended tragically with his assassination, Traoré's ability to survive repeated coup plots has only made him stronger and added to his growing legend. Africans admire him not just because he's a leader, but because he stands as a symbol of resistance, a living proof of the fight for dignity and freedom. The rallies planned for April 30th are not just about backing Traoré, they are a bold statement that Africa is waking up. All across the continent and even among Africans abroad, organizers have been working day and night to make sure this historic protest comes together. In Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's capital, tens of thousands are expected to gather and march toward the presidential palace, proudly waving the Burkinabè and Russian flags as a way to challenge Western control. Plans are underway in Nairobi, where young activists are setting up a Traoré solidarity walk headed to the US Embassy, pushing for AFRICOM to leave Africa. Over in Johannesburg, the EFF is getting its followers ready for a massive protest, raising banners that proudly read, "Africa belongs to Africans." Across the world, Africans living abroad are preparing to show just as much strength. In London, it's the African community that's taking the lead, arranging a powerful march through Trafalgar Square. Meanwhile, in Paris, protesters are aiming to gather outside the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs, calling out France's hand in stirring up the Sahel region. Back in the United States, Black American activists, moved by Traoré's resistance against neocolonialism, are getting ready for protests in Washington, D.C. and New York City. Africans living far from home are coming together for Captain Ibrahim Traoré, calling loudly for support and unity with Burkina Faso. One former Twitter user shared a video from a rally in Atlanta, asking Africans abroad to stand tall with their brothers and sisters back home. But these won't just be ordinary gatherings, they're meant to be powerful celebrations of African unity and clear warnings aimed at the West. Voices chanting "Hands off Traoré" and "Africa Unite" will fill the air, mixed with the deep beats of djembe drums and griots singing songs in honor of Africa's newest hero. Thanks to social media with live streams and trending hashtags, this movement will reach far beyond the streets, making sure the world doesn't turn a blind eye to Africa's determination. This isn't just an explosion of anger, it's also a proud stand for a new future. This is a time to celebrate, a moment filled with pride and deep love for a leader who dared to dream of a free Africa. The situation couldn't be more serious. If the West manages to bring down Burkina Faso or remove Traoré from power, it would send a terrifying warning to every other African leader. The message would be clear: challenge us and you'll suffer the consequences. But if Africans stay strong and the protests on April 30th shake up the global system, it could change everything. It would prove that Africa isn't a playground for outsiders anymore. It would show that the brave spirit of heroes like Lumumba, Sankara, and Nkrumah is still alive in today's generation. Captain Ibrahim Traoré isn't without faults. Critics often point out his tough policies, the suppression of opposing voices, and the fact that jihadist groups still control almost 40% of Burkina Faso. Still, for millions of Africans, these problems seem small compared to the bigger dream he carries. Traoré's fight isn't just about Burkina Faso, it's about the whole of Africa, about our right to decide our own destiny, to take ownership of our land and resources, and to live proudly and freely. The fact that he's still standing speaks to his bravery, and the way he leads is a rallying cry for all of us. Brothers and sisters, April 30th belongs to us. It's the day we raise our voices loud enough for the world to hear. Africa will not be silenced. Today we stand beside Captain Ibrahim Traoré, not because he's perfect, but because he belongs to us. He's a true son of Africa, bold enough to believe in a brighter future. Be part of the protests, lift up your voice, and spread the word. We must make it clear to the world. Hurting Traoré means hurting all of Africa. Let's remind them of the force of a united Africa, the unbreakable spirit of our people, and the deep love we hold for a leader who has brought back our hope. As Traoré once said, his generation cannot understand why Africa, blessed with so much wealth, remains the poorest land on earth. It's time we answered that challenge by building an Africa that stands strong, free, and proud. When April 30th comes, let's shake the world with our voices. Let's create a moment that will be remembered in history. Let's prove, once and for all, that Africa is awake, and we will never go back to sleep. As I end, I say this. As the sun rises before the powerful protests of April 30th, 2025, when millions across Africa and the diaspora will march to protect Captain Ibrahim Traoré, one truth stands clear. Very few African leaders inspire such fierce loyalty, such deep love, and such a strong willingness from their people to shield them at all costs. From the Atlantic waters of Senegal to the Indian Ocean beaches of Mozambique, frustration is growing across Africa. Many citizens feel let down by leaders who, unlike Traoré, seem more interested in chasing personal wealth, impressing foreigners, or simply clinging to power, instead of uplifting their people's hope. Traoré, the revolutionary captain of Burkina Faso, has captured the hearts of Africans, not just because he is young or inspiring, but because he boldly stands for values that millions are desperate for: pride, self-reliance, and true leadership. To really grasp why African leaders are heartily loved with such deep passion, and what changes are needed, we must be willing to face painful truths about leadership on the continent and map out a daring new future. The lack of genuine affection for most African leaders comes from years of broken promises and deep betrayals of public trust. For far too long, leaders have built systems that widen the gap between rich and poor, block progress, and keep Africa tied to foreign interests. Even in countries overflowing with resources like oil, diamonds, and rich farmland, it's common to see the rich get richer while ordinary citizens stay trapped in hardship. Look at Nigeria. Billions made from oil have fattened the pockets of a tiny group of politicians, yet countless Nigerians still live without even basic access to electricity. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, while cobalt and coltan drive the tech industries of the world, local communities remain abandoned, with almost nothing to show for it. Such a disconnect naturally fuels anger and not loyalty. When presidents and ministers rush off to Western capitals to secure harsh loans, only to funnel the money into hidden foreign bank accounts, it's no surprise the masses don't rally to defend them. Traoré stands apart. He lives simply and directs Burkina Faso's gold wealth into projects that help the nation grow. Meanwhile, other leaders flaunt lavish lifestyles, slapping their suffering citizens in the face with displays of luxury. Beyond corruption, many African leaders also fail to push back against the lingering hands of neo-colonialism that still weaken African sovereignty. Until that changes, few will earn the fierce love and protection that Traoré now inspires. Way too many leaders still bow to pressure from old colonial powers or global financial groups, signing deals that put outsiders first while ignoring the needs of their own people. In sharp contrast, Traoré made headlines by kicking out French forces and refusing IMF loans, a bold stand that speaks loudly to Africans sick of being pushed around in global politics. Leaders who sit through meetings in Paris or Washington and agree to unfair terms only lose the respect of their citizens. What Africans really want are leaders like Traoré, ones who face the world's powers head-on and demand dignity instead of waiting around for crumbs. Those who fail to stand up for Africa end up isolated and weak, missing the kind of deep support that shields Traoré against attacks from within and beyond. Another major problem lies in how trust keeps getting destroyed through undemocratic rule. Far too many African presidents hold on to power by rigging votes, rewriting constitutions, or crushing anyone brave enough to oppose them. In countries such as Uganda and Cameroon, leaders have stayed in power for generations, silencing the youth and wiping out opposition movements. This has pushed young people, who now make up most of Africa's population, to crave leaders who truly represent their hopes. At just 37, Traoré has struck a nerve with the youth, not just because he's young himself, but because he listens, he acts, and he's willing to risk his own life for their better future. Those who arrest activists, shut down the media, or unleash soldiers on peaceful protesters will never earn the kind of love Traoré enjoys. People fight for him because they see him as one of them, not some distant ruler, but a leader walking with them through the struggle. Another thing that separates Traoré from most leaders is the lack of a shared dream. Africa faces huge problems like poverty, joblessness, and climate change, and tackling them needs big, daring ideas that can inspire the people. But instead, many leaders keep making the same old promises or use speeches that stir up division between different ethnic groups. Traoré's dream of a strong, independent Africa, built on the spirit of Thomas Sankara, lights a fire of hope across the continent. When he speaks out about how crazy it is for Africa, rich in resources, to still be poor, it touches people deeply because he gives voice to a dream so many share. Leaders who care more about clinging to power for a few more years than about building their nations for the future lose the hearts of their people. Without a bigger dream that goes beyond selfish ambition, they shouldn't expect crowds to rise up and protect them. On April 30th, when Africans pour into the streets for Traoré, they are delivering a clear message to every leader. Stand with us, fight for our future, dream with us, and we will stand by you no matter what. Leaders now face a simple choice: stay distant, unloved, and vulnerable, or rise up and become true heroes of a new Africa, lifted high by a thankful people.
Si les autres camarades parlaient, ils ont cru devoir monter un petit supplétif d'aventuriers pour venir sur cette même place et droit de cette place. Est-ce que vous voulez que la devienne de...
If you enjoyed watching and listening to this story, then click on that like button and subscribe to this channel now so that you can see more of my interesting video. Thank you so much for watching this video to this very end. Click on any of the video links above to watch more of my interesting stories.